Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm JayDreamerZ, and welcome to Truth in Movies, where I break down, what I see esoterically in the movies, what they're really talking about. I don't believe that movies are talking about anything that's just story simply for the sake of entertainment. I think they're deep. I get a lot from movies, just as much as I would going to college for years and years. I love studying movies. There's a lot of truth in the movies, so I like to break them down. So what's up? Welcome, everybody. Today we're talking about the Mandela effect. Check this out. One of my favorite concepts, conspiracies, theories, whatever you want to call it. It blows my mind away. It's one of those things when you look into it, you're like, no, what? No, what? Oh, and you have to see more. You have to do more. It's like one of those things where you hear one and you got to hear more of them. You're constantly on the search for more because it's just that mind-blowing. But we're not going to do a video about the Mandela effect. I'm actually just going to break down and talk about this movie that's about it. We may actually do a video about it tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. What's up to everybody in the chat? Mahalo. Good to see you. Issa is in the chat. There's a lot of people in the chat. Holy moly. Gina, Troy, Sharon, Lovely, Patricia, all kinds of people. Professor X is in the chat. What's up, everyone? Hey, check this out. So they actually made a movie, and if you want to check this movie out, it's available on Amazon Prime. That's how I watched it. Mind blowing. I've probably seen this movie like 3 or 4 different times now. You would think that it's going to be a really cheesy movie because it's about some sort of conspiracy type, fringe theory type stuff. It's not. It's not cheesy whatsoever. The acting's on point. The way they portray the Mandela effect is like, I would recommend the movie for people who are actively researching or new to the concept and looking into it, right? But let me explain for those of you who don't know what the Mandela effect is, or if you've never heard of it. The movie will also explain it, but essentially it's when large groups of people, or even individuals, clearly remember something that is no longer in existence. Like a vivid, strong memory about something. That's what this is about. Now, this guy in the movie that you see here, this guy knows nothing about it, but he goes through a tragic event in his life. Well, let's just check it out. Let's look at the movie. All right, so let's open up. Now, we start off with the rat in a maze. Amazing. And he says, how many trials will it take for this rat to run this maze without making any mistakes? Boom, time out. He's talking about the world we live in, okay? I do that a lot, right? Oftentimes they'll show us something and it conceptualizes the entire world in a symbol. For example, this maze right here. When you see this maze, this is literally, you're looking at the entire earth, the whole world. Our world is a maze. Often it's portrayed as a shifting and moving maze because it changes over time. But anyway, now the rat in the maze is you. You're the rat in the maze. I'm the rat in the maze. And we're running the maze, trying to get better at it every time. So he starts off with this symbolism, and it hits home because we know he's talking to us, right? How many trials will it take for the rat to go through the maze without making any mistakes? So what does that mean for us? How many times will you live your life coming back over and over and over again without making any mistakes? We do it better every single time. How quickly will the rat complete the maze each time? Right? Getting better. Soon they eliminate the errors altogether and they move faster, getting better with each occurrence or reincarnation. As the rat moves, it's creating an internal map of its world, right? Just like us, right? It's kind of like if you've ever played the old Legend of Zelda video game on the original Nintendo forever ago, right? When you go into like certain cavernous levels or whatever, it's totally dark. And you're just Link, right? Not Zelda, you're Link. And as you move about, a little piece of the map will lighten up and it'll stay like that. And it's kind of like the same concept, right? So the guy who's talking right now, he says, I code. He writes coding. In video games, we come across these same principles. So he's a video game coder. And they show you various examples. There's lots of different examples in this movie. They flash a lot of really cool examples and stuff in the background. But for one example, like the maze, is Pac-Man, right? Pac-Man's going through, eating the ghosts, constantly just consuming and eating. And he just lives over and over and over again, trying to get it perfect. He says, each time that we play, they're designed so that we use our memory. He's talking about video games. They're designed so that we use our memory to learn, to adapt, and to advance. To learn, to adapt, and to advance. What is that, Doom? Is that Doom he's playing? Or is that Wolfenstein? That might be Wolfenstein. I can't remember. Without our memory, we would get nowhere. So imagine if you constantly, let's just say reincarnation's real, right? I mean, that's my thing. I'm into that. But if it is, it stands to reason it makes no sense to even come back if you don't retain something, right? I call that spirit memory. All right, so the movie actually kicks off with this family. This guy right here, he's the guy who was just talking. He's the computer programmer. This is his daughter, Sam. And this is his wife. They're at the beach one day. Everything's great. They're just having a lovely day, reading a book, hanging out. She's got her toys that she brought with her. Oh, let's talk about her toy. This is Curious George. The curious thing about George is that in the movie, she's holding him by the tail. You see that? But today, does Curious George have a tail? I want to know what you guys think in the chat, too, as we go over this. Like, if you remember, which way you remember it, right? Do you remember the status quo? Or do you remember the alternate version, right? Well, we haven't looked at the reality, and I'm not going to tell you which one is the way that it is today. You can check that out if you'd like to. But some people remember Curious George without a tail, and some people remember him with a tail. Which one are you? So they cut to, the family's playing a board game. They're playing some Monopoly. Got the Monopoly guy there. They're watching some movies. And, I think they're watching Star Wars because he's like, Luke, I am your father. The whole family's hanging out. They're having a good time. They're having some Jiffy and some crackers and stuff like that. Reading some Berenstain Bears. Just a regular old family life, right? Well, cut back to the beach. The daughter's like, hey, can I go play by the water? I'm going to look for seashells. And they're like, sure, why not, right? But the water is just out of sight. So she leaves her parents' sight. Curious George gets too curious, goes too close to the water and gets sucked out to sea. And the daughter, Sam, is like, oh man, I gotta go get that. She drowns, sadly enough, right? So the dad's torn apart. And he goes to church. They have a eulogy where the priest is like reading from the Bible. And there's this one passage where he's like, and the wolf shall dwell with the lamb. And this is after the daughter's death. Remember that, please. Now check this out. I'm actually going to talk about this one because I'm not going to come back to it. One Mandela effect is, there's many in the Bible actually, but many people remember this Bible verse that says the lion shall lay with the lamb, or shall dwell with the lamb, right? Now it's the wolf. Isn't that something, right? Take that to a lot of your Christian friends and show it to them so that you can blow their mind. Maybe build a bridge to something a little deeper, The leopard will lie down with the young goat, etc. So they're doing a eulogy, and this is the mom, and she's like, it doesn't feel real. She doesn't say, I don't feel real. I don't know why it says that in the subtitles, but she's talking about the death of her daughter. She's like, it doesn't feel real. This is like a month later. They're still grieving and stuff. And the father, the computer programmer or the coder, says, I know exactly what you mean. He's torn apart. He sees his daughter mentally everywhere he goes, and he does not feel like she should be gone. He feels like there's many things that should have continued to happen in their lives. And it might be a natural thing for many people, to think about that. However, it's also natural for people to just let go and accept it as it is. And people talk about moving on and this and that. So he goes into her room. He's kind of upset because the mom's starting to to pack up the room to move out all the daughter's stuff. He's like, no, 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 don't touch it, right? Now I wanted to point this out. I took a picture of this because there's a drawing of a bee up here. I was scrutinizing this whole movie. This bee has 4 wings. Now this is not a Mandela effect I've run across, but I will say I do not ever remember bees having 4 wings. I could be super off on that. And a lot of these Mandela effects, could definitely be false memories. That's something that we'll talk about. Stuff that people thought that they remembered, but that wasn't the way that it is, right? So I'm not saying those don't exist. And this guy right here, when he starts learning about the Mandela effect, he'll come across that kind of opposition as well, where people just say, it's just a false memory. But we'll talk about that in a minute. So he's going through her stuff, and he pulls out one of these books, the Berenstain Bears book. But he takes a closer look at it, and he just stares at it for a minute as if something's bothering him. So later on, he's talking to his wife's brother, and he's like, hey, let me ask you something. This might be kind of weird, but did you ever read that story as a kid about the family of bears? The Baron, and the guy's like, yeah, the Berenstain Bears. He's like, yes, Berenstain, Stein. And he's like, yes, Stein, they were Jewish. Like, I don't know if the Berenstain Bears were Jewish, but it definitely sounds like a Jewish name, right? And he shows him the book that's now changed. The author's name and the name of the bears. Well, I don't know if that's the author's name, but the name of the bears has totally changed. He's like, what? He's like, look at it. It says Stain, Stain, Berenstain, right? So, I'll get back to that in a minute, but this is huge. This is I love that the movie started here because this is exactly where I started. I didn't even start with Mandela, right? I started with the Berenstain Bears. And when I heard about this, I did not believe it, not one bit. Every atom in my body was enraged that somebody would that this could even be possible. So I looked it up. I looked everywhere for the original spelling. And I'm like, this is mind-blowing. This messed with me so bad, and it messes with him a lot too, right? So he takes the book, he's sharing it with his sister's brother. He's like, what is this? Isn't that weird, right? They take a look at it, and let me tell you why this is so important to me, because I'm a wordsmith, and I always have been since I was a kid. When I was reading the Berenstain Bears, when I was a kid, it was right around the time that I was learning the grammar rule, I before E except after C. And I'm like, oh, this doesn't follow that rule, right? And then there was also the question, and I even asked people, how do you pronounce this? Is it Steen or is it Stein, right? I was smart enough, right? I give myself that much credit to know that if it was spelled Stain, I never would have questioned the pronunciation. So stop, universe. Stop. I'm not falling for this one. Anyway, so this guy in the movie, the brother is like, whatever. That's just kind of weird. He just kind of blows him off a little bit. But the coder jumps on the computer, boom, starts Googling, starts researching, starts looking it up. And he's like, he can't believe what he's looking at. What's going on with this, right? He comes across this concept known as the Mandela effect, alternate memories, alternate reality, conspiracy theories. And he's like, man, wow. You know what I mean? We can all relate to this image right here where you're just like, fuck, God. Oh, man, like you almost have to walk away for a minute, right? It's like you have like a huge meal of delicious things, but you can't eat anymore. And you're just like, oh, just stop for a second. I gotta let that marinate for a minute. I gotta process that. What is going on, right? That's exactly what the character's going through. Now he's talking to his wife the next day or later on, and he's looking at a picture on the fridge, right? There's a little picture over here, and he points at it, and he says, do you remember where this picture was taken? And his wife casually is like, yeah, it was the Griffith Observatory. He's like, I swear I remember taking this photograph, but we were in Seattle. We were visiting your parents. We were at the Pacific Science Center, right? And he looks at it, and even just looking at it, it's probably photoshopped for the movie purposes, but it looks off. And sometimes that happens to us in life, right? Something doesn't look right. Something seems out of place or something straight up missing where something should be there. and it eats away at us on the inside. It pulls at our heartstrings. It claws at our guts. Our guts know that there's something wrong there. We just can't put our finger on it, right? So that's what's happening to him. So he's going over his memories, and it shows a picture of the actual event where he says, no, it was the Pacific Science Center. I remember. We went there. He tells the whole story. He's like, it was not the Griffith Observatory. It was the Pacific Science Center. So this is starting to bug him. He puts the picture up here on his little computer wall, and him and his buddy, they start looking up the Mandela effect. He's actually teaching them about it. He's like, he doesn't want to be the only one who's lost in this crazy maze of thought about reality not being real, right? So he's like, bro, please come check this out. You got to look at this, right? Hoping that somebody else will, ride that train with him, essentially. You don't want to be the only one on that train. It is the crazy train, if you're wondering. And it's fun. Anyways, this is interesting too, because he actually has a poster of The Legend of Zelda. Anyways, so Fiona Broome, I guess, is the name of the lady who coined the term the Mandela effect, which refers to widespread misconception that former South African President Nelson Mandela died in the 1980s while he was incarcerated, right? This is very specific. So this is where it all stems from. This is why it's called the Mandela effect. This guy right here, you don't have to be political. I'm not political, right? But I just know the face, essentially. I know he was a big to-do in the political world. He had something to do with freedom, peaceful guy, seemed to be, someone people looked up to. I don't know a lot about him. I don't care, whatever. I do remember the big deal about him was that he died while he was in prison. I don't even remember why he was in prison. Who cares? I mean, I'm sure a lot of people care. I don't want to dismiss that or minimize it, but I'm just saying I clearly remember, the only thing I do remember about Nelson Mandela was that he died while he was in prison for something that I guess he didn't do or something along those lines, right? That was a huge thing. But it turns out he did not die while he was in prison. And a lot of people remember him actually dying. So then he pulls up this YouTube video, right? And it's actually got George W. Bush giving a speech. And Bush says, I heard somebody say, now where's Mandela? Well, Mandela's dead. This was not for movie purposes. This actually was said by the President of the United States way after his alleged death when he was still allegedly alive. So, my question to anyone watching is, what would prompt the President of the United States? I'll give you the fact that this dude is kind of out of his mind at times and trips over his words all of the time, but who cares? Regardless, where would he get that from? What would give him this idea to say it on public television in a national address that Mandela is dead? Boom. So, the Mandela effect. So the brothers checking it out and whatnot. Now they're saying someone, often many people, having a clear memory of something that actually did not happen. Something that does not exist or never did exist. People remember it clearly. And one guy's on there, he's showing Jif peanut butter. A lot of people remember Jiffy, right? I don't know. Some of these are kind of hazy, and it depends on the person, right? Some of these strike a stronger chord with some of us. Like I said, the Berenstain Bears one, boom, I'll live and die by that one. Like, I'll put the life on the line on that one. I know for sure, right? I'm not too sure about Jif, but it's okay. You don't have to be sure about them. It's that there are so many, and there are so many strong ones, right? Whole communities have sprung up around this idea of people remembering things that don't exist. Darth Vader actually never said, they're watching this video that's showing it, right? Luke, I am your father, right? That's what we all say. Everybody knows that line. Problem is that line doesn't exist. Never did. In today's world, that history has been erased, shredded, and thrown into like the fire, right? I'm thinking of 1984. What was that place that dude worked? Do you remember? Did you guys ever read 1984? There was this guy, the protagonist. He worked in this place where basically he just manipulated the history. He took history, and if they didn't like it, he would shred it. He would shred like newspapers and stuff and have them rewritten and stuff. It was crazy. What he actually said in Star Wars was, "No, I am your father." Interest. I don't know, man. I don't know. What do you guys think? Did he say, "Luke, I am your father"? I mean, even if he would have said, "No, Luke, I am your father," like that would have made more sense. But just leaving Luke's name out of it completely, just, "No, I am your father." Like that sounds too weird, right? Some people, he looks up some JFK ones. Many people remember only 4 people being in this car. There was the driver, JFK and his wife, and the other driver, passenger, whatever. But there were 6 people. Some people don't remember these 2 people being here, and many people don't remember the car being so large as well. And then there was this guy who stood in front of the tanks, right? I actually put this guy in my Sylvan Linings intro. I love this dude. And he just like waves the bag. He's like, "Get out of here, tanks. No killing today." And he just stands in front of it. However, he doesn't die, but many people remember him being ran over by the tank, and it was a huge deal. So he says, "So what do you think?" Right? And the brother dude, little Eminem wannabe, he's like, it's false memory. Just look on Reddit." Ooh, that gets me, man. Doesn't that burn you when people are just like, look on Reddit or look on Snopes? I fact checked that on Snopes, and it's not real. It's like, what's the general consensus? So wait a minute. So this whole theory is not about the general consensus and the general population's memories, right? It's about a huge portion of the population, but not all of them, right? Mainstream people like this guy right here, they just accept the reality as it's presented to them. They're just like, yeah, whatever. It's just a false memory. Your memory's acting funny. He's like, Reddit, it's a legit source. Go check it out. I don't trust any of those fact checkers or finders or Reddits or Snopers or whatever they're called these days. I don't care. Okay. I don't read them. I don't look into it. I have, and it disgusts me. It leaves a really bad taste in my mouth. I don't like it. I don't get a good energy from those websites. I'm not saying it's always wrong or anything. I'm just saying, it's not my cup of tea. So the other guy's like, this is just a jumping off point. Like we could be between parallel realities or like a simulation, right? So now he's starting to think about how this could be possible. How could this be happening, right? The brother is just dismissing it. He's like, wait a minute, like, well, let's figure out what's going on here instead of just dismissing it. Let's suppose it's real. How could it come to pass, right? He said it's like we're living in some holodeck virtual reality type of stuff, and it's just glitching out. And the brother's like, or it's just false memory. Let's go to Taco Bell now. It's just false memory. Who cares? Whatever. End of subject. End of story. False memory. Boom. There's your answer. Excuse me. Yuck. Yuck, 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 yuck. I don't like those kinds of answers, right? Just chalking it up to false memory. Oh, it's whatever. It's just false memory, dude. Like, what if you woke up one morning and you were missing your right arm? And you're like, bro, my arm's gone. My arm's gone. You're like, bro, your arm's always been gone. It's just false memory. I guarantee you would fight tooth and nail to figure out what the fudge is going on, right? You're not just going to be like, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. It probably is just false memory. No. So the brother's like, plenty of people don't remember Sinbad being a genie in a movie. Let me tell you this. I do. Okay? I was upset when I saw the Shaquille O'Neal version where he was a genie or whatever. I think it was like in the 90s, right? Sinbad's movie was in the 80s. Shaquille O'Neal did this rip-off version of it, and I watched it, okay, just because I wanted to see, like if they did it better or whatever. It looked cheesy. I thought it was going to be bad. And after I watched it, I'm like, wow, that movie sucks. And the Sinbad version is 10 million times classic. Like, they should have just left it at Sinbad, right? But it turns out Sinbad was never in this movie. And, I mean, that's the way that it is today, right? But I remember I remember this movie. I remember the people that starred in the movie. I remember how he dressed in the movie. I remember it, right? Or Mandela dying in the 80s. But how do you explain the people that do have those memories? See, he's not willing to just drop it. He's like, dude, let's investigate this, right? Like Sherlock Holmes, which, by the way, is going to come into play here in a minute, too. Thousands, maybe 10,000s of people all remembering something vividly, clearly, crisply that doesn't exist and never did. How do you explain that? So he starts doing more research, looks into the CERN super collider. A lot of people look into this and they kind of blame CERN and the government and people. There's a lot of theories out there, which I love. Some people think that the super collider in Switzerland, when they turned it on, that it's sort of screwing with time and ripping holes in time, and now things are sort of changing and glitching out and stuff. Who knows, right? Large Hadron Collider at CERN is now powered up. The first beam at CERN was circulated on the 10th of September 2008. This is actually the audio from this YouTube video he's watching. Oh, it's a little thumbnail for the 13th floor. I just saw that. I love that movie. The first spotting of the Mandela effect online that I can tell, this person in the movie says this, was also in 2008. Now, check this out. I took a screenshot of this. There's various Mandela effects on the screen right now, but this one right here is from a cartoon I used to watch as a kid. It's very old. Okay. It's called Johnny Quest. And the spelling is super messed up. Johnny's name is like Johnnny. It's just Johnny. It's how you always spell it, right? But now it's spelled Jonny with no H. That one blew my mind when I saw that one. Parallel worlds overlapping with ours. So now he's checking out TED Talks. He's learning about stuff. I love this, right? Even if there's no such thing as the Mandela effect, this dude is expanding his mind by quantum leaps. Trying to figure out whether or not I live in the Matrix, basically. And what does string theory say? Now he's got Professor Yoki Hamamoto, or whatever his name is. It says that there is a multiverse, or what I would call, and what I often refer to as the fractalverse, right? Can we go between universes? Is it universi? Universes? I don't know, whatever. So this guy is like on the verge of ripping his own hair out or feeling like he's going crazy, right? So he goes to church to try to get some answers. He's like, the priest is like, what answers are you looking for, right? He doesn't really get any answers at church. So they go to this place. Now, it's hard to see right here, but this is like a little coffee shop. And he's talking to his buddy, him and his buddy, or the brother. They go to this coffee shop. The brother's like, I asked my friend about false memory. You know, she's a doctor, etc. They're having this conversation. But if you look closely, let's zoom in. Let's see if we can zoom in. Do you see that? All over these boxes, it says Mr. Holmes, as in Sherlock Holmes. They're trying to figure out a mystery. They're trying to solve a mystery right now. And they're showing you Mr. Holmes over and over and over and over again. It is a real place. But I believe it's a reference to Sherlock Holmes. A lot of people remember Sherlock Holmes saying, and being known for saying, "Elementary, my dear Watson." Never said that. Never said. He said it in the movies because people remember it so much that they put it into the movies. But not in one of the books did he ever say, "It's elementary, dear Watson," or whatever. Never said that. Blows my mind, right? So he's like talking to his wife's brother, and he's like, the old cartoon is the Flintstones. Meet the Flintstones. But that, in this reality, it's Flint with a T. Flintstones. The Flintstones. And he's like, Brendan, it was always Flint. Well, wait a minute. Time out. He's making an absolute statement right there, right? Which to me makes him open for like correction, I guess. I don't know. Maybe not. Whatever. It just tells me where he is. You know what I mean? When people make these kinds of absolute statements. What he's really saying is, I always remember it being Flint. That's what he should really be saying, right? There's a better way to do that. Instead of just taking a stand and having omnipotency imparted upon yourself and saying, it was always this way, I know everything, right? It's better to speak from first person and say, to me, or I always remember it being like this, or my experience was, you know what I mean? Or I don't remember it ever being Flint with a T, or Flint without, or Flynn without a T, right? So he's talking to his wife because his wife noticed that he's acting a little weird lately, right? Because he's been staying up all night. He's researching. He's acting a little different. He's seeing things. He's asking about pictures and where they were taken. So she's like, what's on your mind? Why don't you talk to me about it? And he's kind of scared because he doesn't want to look crazy, but she insists. So he's like, all right, well, can you picture the Monopoly Man? And she's like, yeah, of course, right? What's on his face? A monocle, right? She's trying to remember what that word was. She's like, it's a monocle, right? Yeah, of course. The Monopoly dude has a monocle. That's kind of one of his little signature things, like the top hat, the monocle, right? He says, so apparently that's never been the case. And the wife looks at him. She's like, I'm pretty sure that he does have a monocle, right? She's like, I'm going to end this conversation right now. She goes to the living room, busts out the Monopoly board, and she's like, would you look at that? Wow, check that out. Huh. And then she just kind of laughs it off. She's like, well, that's weird, right? That's as far as most people get, sadly, in my opinion, right? I think it's sad. I think it's sad because I want them to get on the boat with me. You know, I don't want to say goodbye at the pier. I want them to come along on the journey. You know, get in the car. Let's go for a drive. Jump on the crazy train with me for a while. Let's go visit some places. So the wife looks at it. She's like, that's weird. Now, this is what I thought of. I thought of Ace Ventura Pet Detective, right? I think this is When Nature Calls is part 2. This is a classic scene when he's at this gala or this ball full of these super rich people with this dude, this chick and this guy or whatever right here. And Jim Carrey's character, Ace Ventura, introduces himself. He's like, my name's Ace Ventura. I'm just going to paraphrase, right? Because I don't do a good Ace Ventura impersonation. He's like, I'm Ace Ventura, and you must be the Monopoly guy. That's classic. Why would he call him that? He doesn't have a cane. He doesn't have a top hat. His tie isn't black or anything. Like just because you have a tuxedo on doesn't mean he could have said James Bond. The thing that makes him say you must be the Monopoly guy is because he has a monocle. Duh. Like, everyone knows this. Come on. Why would he say that if that wasn't the case, right? He's like, hey, thanks for the free parking. Class, I love this part of the movie, right? This chick right here is like, oh, sometimes you're going to have to appreciate wearing, nature's gifts or some crap like that, right? Because she has this fox or whatever that she's wearing that's dead. So Ace Ventura is like, oh, righty then. And he knocks out the Monopoly guy and throws him around his shoulder and starts dancing around with him. Oh my God, it's so classic. All right, so he busts out Curious George to his wife. He's like, all right, Monopoly guy didn't do it for you, huh? Okay, let's push you a little further. How about this? Does this look different? Where's his tail? Now this should strike a chord with her because that's her last memory of her daughter, was seeing her daughter run off holding Curious George by the tail before she gets sucked under the ocean. I don't know. He's like, you remember his tail, right? Sam had George with her that day at the beach, clearly having a tail, right? He's like, listen, Claire, I'm not the only one. People all over the world are noticing these changes. In geography, in the Bible, like in places where it should be a steadfast fact and there should be no doubt or question in people's minds, boom, it's different all of a sudden. She starts to freak out. Now this happens, okay? A lot of you are going to be able to relate so strongly to this when you're coming across some truth or information. Your mind was blown about some stuff. You're trying to share it with those that you love, your friends, your family, or whatever, and they get really close, but then you lose them, right? And they back off and they start making up excuses and they're like, I don't think this is productive. I don't think any of this is healthy. What they really mean is they're afraid of their own mental health, right? They're afraid of changing their own minds. So they blame it on us. So this speaker is like, we are living in a computer-programmed reality. And the only clue that we have to it, this is from a real YouTube video too. Some of these are really good. Is when some variable has changed. So the only clue that we have to our programmed reality, if this is all the Matrix, if this is all a video game, if it's all some sort of a program or a simulation, the only clue, at least the clue that this guy notices, is when some sort of a variable has changed, when something seemingly insignificant, something that's not a major piece, slightly changes, just a little bit, right? So this guy busts out his whiteboard that's clear. He starts doing more research. They got Elon Musk talking about, he says that we're clearly on a trajectory to have games that are indistinguishable from reality. So this guy starts looking up this one guy who is like the foremost expert on the subject, but all of his videos aren't working for some reason. Has this ever happened to you? You're trying to do some research on some crazy stuff, but like you just can't find it anywhere? Or you used to know where it was and you didn't save it or anything because you figured it would always be there, and then boom, all that information just seems to be gone out of nowhere, right? I know some people are screaming like, use DuckDuckGo or whatever. I don't know. So, my mom told me that one. She would not let go of the DuckDuckGo thing. Which I understand, but whatever. So this guy can't find any of the videos. They're corrupted. He starts to look at one of these videos. This is the guy he's looking for right here. In the movie, he's like the expert on simulation theory, right? He's talking about how life is just ones and zeros. It's all coding. And he's giving a lecture called Understanding the Data, Our Simulated Universe. And then as he's watching live time, the video starts like scrambling and it's like the file is corrupted. It can't be played. And he keeps running into these dead ends when he feels like he's getting closer and closer, right? So he takes that as almost like a challenge. He sees that as like confirmation that he's getting closer to something and he doesn't want to give up. It only inspires him and puts gas in his tank. So he goes to the guy. He finds him at this university. He sits down with him at his house and he's like, have you ever heard of the Mandela effect? And this guy's like, Looney Tunes. And he's like, what? No. He's like, wait, hear me out. Everybody thinks that it's spelled with two O's, as in tune, like cartoon. But in actuality, it's spelled T-U-N-E, like music, right? He says, what do you think it is? And the expert is like, false memory. And the guy at first is like super depressed, like, what? Oh no, right? Not another one. But then he's like, but some of them could be breadcrumbs. Ah, see, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. You accept the reality that, yeah, of course, people are going to forget things. Some people are going to not remember certain things. But some of these, we can't discount all of them. We can't just chalk them all up across the world. Thousands and thousands of people all remembering the same thing. Can't chalk every single one of those up to just false memory. False memory. What did he say? Breadcrumbs, right? Breadcrumbs from what? He says mistakes that are left behind by the countless tiny micro corrections that the simulation might have to make to keep it on course. Right? Little tiny. He's talking video game theory. And this guy over here, he's a video game designer. He's a coder. So he's just, he got so excited. He's like, yes, we're back on the train together. Yes, we're going to ride this train. This is great. Oh yeah. Give me some more. This is exciting. He loves it. He's got a little passenger to hang out with on the train now. And, so they take a walk. Excuse me. They take a walk and the professor's like, whatever is running all of this has enormous processing power. But these glitches that we see, like the Mandela effect, I'm going to time out right there because it also reminds me of in the Matrix, right? When they see the cat and he gets deja vu, but then he sees it again and then he's like, whoa, deja vu. And they're like, what? What'd you see? They take it very seriously. The people who know Don't just go, oh, yeah, I know, right? Deja vu's crazy, right? That sucks. Try to do something you've never done before. Like, nah. The people who are in the Matrix, they're like, they stopped dead in their tracks. Like, whoa, what'd you just do? He's like, deja vu. And that's how serious I am about it. But anyways, I digress. The professor goes on, but these glitches that we see, like the Mandela effect, show me that it has limits. If this structure is a simulated structure, the sim need only be concerned with the walls, with the shadows, the glass, the reflection in the glass. So this guy's like, yeah, oh my God, that's called procedural generation. Totally. We use that in video games. Oh my God, you're speaking my language. Like he's found a new buddy. He's like, did we just become best friends? And he goes, it's not wasting any power or any energy on what's inside the building. Not until someone has the intention to walk in there. Then all of a sudden, the simulation is like, fill in the gaps with information, right? Fill in the rest of the building. If a tree falls and there's no one around to see it, does it make a sound? Does it even exist at all? Like, if the program ran a simulation, which was designed to observe everything, all at the same time, and all the time. Yes, and if those sims, sim is short for simulation, right? That's just like the video game sims, it just means simulation. If those sims spawned new sims, reproducing exponentially, each would eventually overload the original. Now, time out. Wait a minute. I'm going to stop right there because I really need... I want to read that again. That's very important to me personally, so I want to read that again, right? If the program... Now, I'm going to replace the word program with God because that's essentially what we're talking about, right? We're talking about the creator, right? Whatever that is. If God created reality... Actually, I'm just going to rephrase all of this, okay? If God created reality and he observes, or God, he, she, whatever, if God observes everything all at the same time, and all of the time, and if those realities, because God creates more than one reality in their scenario, right? If those realities spawn their own realities and it keeps happening over and over, what they're describing is various ancient creation stories, myths and legends about one creator being that split and essentially made a clone or copy of itself. But it cast forgetfulness over the copy so that the copy wouldn't remember that it is a copy. So that it would not remember that it's not a copy, but it's still actually its own self. Essentially, God had to trick God's self into forgetting that God was God. That's what they're talking about right now. All right, so they're talking about overloading the system because this guy lost his daughter. That's his main drive, right? Remember how him and his wife were like, it doesn't feel real that my daughter's dead, right? He feels like he feels another reality almost overlapping with the reality that he's been given, which is his daughter's dead. And everyone and reality almost just wants him to accept it, but he doesn't. So he says, but you can't run a program like that on any ordinary PC. Stands for personal computer, I think. The university's first quantum computer. Boom. They actually have. I just happen to have a quantum computer in my lab or whatever, right? So they have a quantum computer. It looks kind of like the D-Wave. I don't know which one this is, but these are real. They have quantum computers that are thousands of times faster than like any supercomputer that we have today or that we even know about. Now, this one's really interesting to me because it's got like this sort of like a blue beam sort of symbolism going on and sort of like a cross type thing there, which is also sort of like the symbol for Jesus and various religions and stuff. Interesting. Now he reads from the Bible, Acts 17:28. For in him we live and move and have our being. Who's it talking about? It's talking about God, right? In God, okay, don't worry about him or her pronouns or whatever, right? In God. We live. So we live in God. That's what this is saying. I'm interpreting, so take it with a grain of salt. And we also move, and we have our being in God. Or if God in the movie is a computer program, we are in that computer program, and we are a part of it, right? If there is a creator, there might be endless reasons why that creator made the creation, right? This is an age-old question. People speculate. Why are we here? What's going on? What's this all for? What's the purpose of it? And he's like, it could be recreational. He could be literally, it could be this dude right here could be like God sitting there just deciding. He's a coder. He's a creator. That's literally what he is. He creates something, and the whole reason he does it is so he can play with it, so that he can have fun, so he can be happy. I don't know, whatever, right? So some people believe that that's what's going on with why we're here as well. Now, the professor's like, this guy wants to overload the system, okay? This guy wants to overload the program. He has like a code that he uses with like the Fibonacci sequence that he puts into one of his little gaming codes or whatever, and he wants to upload it into the supercomputer, into the quantum computer, right? And he figures if he does that and he puts it on a loop, he's gonna have the computer feed itself so much information that it will overload and it'll be forced to shut down. And the professor's like, what makes you think this is going to bring your daughter back anyway, right? That's his whole point. That's why he's doing it, right? He loves his daughter so much. Love is motivating him. And he's like, no, I don't accept death, which I respect. So the guy's talking about putting a bug into the system. And he says bug trigger errors can have ripple effects that can spread throughout the coding, right? You believe that the simulation tried to stop you? He's talking to the professor, right? He says, my work on this has brought me nothing but grief, right? So this guy right here, remember how the other guy was like searching for the answers and it kept getting shut down and the video stopped playing every time or whatever, or the file was corrupted. Well, this guy right here is saying, I used to talk about this. I used to be into this, but man, my life got crap. Like life handed me some bad cards the more I looked into this, right? Interesting. Because I feel like I've been there too. He says, I was a bug in the system. So what's the system going to do, right? It's going to try to clean that bug out or reset. Sorry. I got a little feeling of happiness when I said reset. All right. So he says, Brendan, there's something you're going to need to understand. Brendan is the computer coder. Ideas are dangerous things. And that's true. I totally agree. Ideas are super dangerous, right? Because they're powerful. They're so powerful. Ideas are so powerful. I'm reminded of V for Vendetta right now. Mr. Creedy. Anyways. So this guy wakes up in the middle of the night, sees a silhouette of his daughter who is supposed to be dead in his room. And she's like, Dad, I'm scared. He's like, what? And she's like starting to like fade away. He turns on the lights. Boom, she's gone. Oh, man. So he's starting to trip. He's almost starting to feel like he's going crazy, but he knows he's not. He's like on the verge. He's like, man, damn it. Like, I don't want to just say I'm crazy. Like I'm a sane person. I code computers, for crying out loud, right? So he knows he's not going crazy. He knows he's experiencing something that's just other people aren't. So now he starts driving, and you can see like the sort of coding, like how the real world starting to look like code in like a game or something. And he's listening to the radio, and the radio says, he's talking about Stephen Hawking, saying that the actual observer of reality actually determines the past. Now, if you think about it, if the particles right now in the present are not determined until you observe them, then how can there actually be a past? Gets deep, right? Interesting. So what they're talking about right now, I don't want to get too deep into this. We could talk about this another time, but there's been various studies done on what effects just simply observing something has on it. Even if what you're observing doesn't know that it's being observed. That's a hard word to say, observed. Even if the observer, even if somebody doesn't know that someone else is watching, the fact that they're watching still affects the outcome. Thank you. Man. So the radio guy goes on to say, it's very real hard experiments that are telling us these particles simply do not exist out there with real particles until they are observed. I decided I don't like the word observed from now on. It's too hard to say. Anyways, so this guy parks his car. He's like, oh man, gosh, he starts to feel weird. And then he starts to like almost hear like a ringing noise. He gets disoriented and stuff, and he screams. It's like the program, the simulation, or God, or whatever, is starting to affect him because he's getting closer and closer to this bigger reality. Let's see. Why did I have this picture? I don't remember. Oh, then he wakes up, right? He wakes up, walks through his hallway. You see this picture that they put here of this eyeball, which is pretty interesting. And then, why did I take that picture? Oh, he looks into the room. This is his daughter's room, right? All of a sudden, his daughter's in there with the mom in real time. He's not dreaming or anything, right? He literally sees the daughter and the mom together, and he can't believe his eyes. He doesn't say anything. He's just watching. They both go into the bathroom to brush teeth. He chases after them, and it's no longer real. The daughter's gone. The mom's in there by herself. Like, what are you doing, right? And he's like, I saw Sam. I saw Sam. So they cut to another scene where the daughter's back after she disappeared, and she's watching Looney Tunes, spelled with 2 O's this time. This one's really weird, though, because if you look on the background at the particular Looney Tunes episode they chose to put in this movie, it's this huge Nazi Hitler type of weird propaganda cartoon in the background. Why would they choose to show that? The brother comes in, all of a sudden, remember? He's one of the oblivious ones. So when the daughter reappears and the program sort of adjusts it and fixes it or whatever. See, what's happening is that the simulation knew about the bug in the system. It was trying to like distract him. It couldn't. So instead, because the simulation doesn't want to get shut down, it doesn't want the bug to mess anything up, which is the programmer. So what it does is it gives him exactly what he wants, hoping that he'll stop searching for the truth. Interesting. So the brother comes in. He was oblivious before. He's oblivious now. He doesn't even remember the daughter dying. He's just like, hey, what's up? Another day. You know, how's it going? This dude's bewildered. He's like, I feel so bad for this dude. So many mix of emotions, right? He just doesn't know what to make of anything. They keep showing the television. They keep showing this cartoon. Daffy Duck's up there with Hitler, about to crack him over the head. Why are they showing this? Why are they giving so much time and attention to this particular episode of Looney Tunes? It may be because I've watched many television shows, movies, etc. about alternate timelines. And almost every single time, there's some sort of an episode where Germany won the war. And then the whole world is sort of like Nazi Germany or whatever, right? So I think maybe that has something to do with this. Maybe they're saying that this could have been an alternative timeline for us. Anyway, so the mom, the now reinvigorated daughter who's back into existence, right? And the dad, they go to this ceramics place to like paint some ceramics and stuff and to do something together. His cup that he has all of a sudden starts cracking all by itself. He's just staring at it like, whoa, what's going on? And all of a sudden, the mom freaks out. She's out of it, right? She used to be super happy and stuff, but now she's just like, ever since the daughter came back, it's messing with the mom. Her memory's gone back and forth too many times, and she doesn't understand why she's off, but she's off, right? She's getting depressed. She's getting angry. She's getting irritable and agitated. She takes the cup and she slams it on the ground. Glass shatters. Remember? I told you to look for that. So the mom is like, she shouldn't be here, right? She's just straight up calling it like it is. She's like, something's freaking wrong here. Like, she should not be here, right? So all of a sudden they go to the kettle. There's pressure building up, right? They show you that. But look at the color of that kettle. Now I'm looking back in the chat. I'm sorry I haven't been in here a whole bunch, but what color is that? Is it A, puce, or B, chartreuse? What do you guys think? Puce or chartreuse? I'll tell you this much. I'm not going to wait because there's a 30-second delay between me and you guys. But today it's chartreuse. When the color chartreuse used to be closer to like a dark magenta or something. A lot of people remember that. Now it's like a greenish yellow. Interesting. So this guy's freaking out, right? He got his daughter back, but things are still kind of weird. So he goes back to the professor's house, knocks on the door. His wife answers, and she's like, he's dead. He passed away like a couple months ago. He's like, but I just spoke with him. I literally was just talking to him. So instead of reality taking the daughter, it made a trade. It took the professor instead. His glass inside the professor's house cracks. Boom, another cracking of the glass, right? He's like, what the hell's going on? Good question, right? I think a lot of people, if they just saw their glass crack all by itself, would probably never think twice about that. I would think about that for days upon days, probably, and try to figure it out. So here's the daughter. Remember, her name is Sam. She's sitting at the piano. One moment. Excuse me. Sorry about that. So Sam is sitting at the piano, and she starts playing this song as time goes by. It's a classic song from Casablanca. And you might remember, I don't know how many people remember Casablanca. Okay. I've actually never seen it. It's come up many times in my studies. I would like to see it one of these days. But what I do know about it is that there's a famous quote where there's a piano player and he starts singing this song. What was the song? You must remember this. A kiss is still a kiss. Now, this is what the girl's singing. She says, a kiss is still a kiss. I looked up the lyrics and it says, a kiss is just a kiss. I looked up the song and the dude says still a kiss. So I don't know. I'm kind of confused on that one. Now, her name's Sam, right? A sigh is just a sigh. So he says, sing it, Sam. Now, that's interesting to me, too, because most people remember a famous line from this movie where they say, play it again, Sam. People say that all the time. Play it again, Sam. And they think they're quoting Casablanca. Like deep down in their heart of hearts, they know that they're quoting Casablanca. Play it again, Sam. Because Sam is the piano player in the movie Casablanca, right? But they actually say now, sing it, Sam. Right? All right, let's move forward. So this dude breaks into the quantum D-Wave computer place, right? He wants to upload the code. He's getting tired of. He's like, F this. I'm shutting reality down. I'm going to upload my code, my little bug, and I'm going to mess up reality. So this guy's like, excuse me. Hi. I'm professional douchebag over here. Are you allowed to be here? Pfft. What's his answer? I love his answer. This is my answer. Yeah, I mean, of course. I totally am. Totally allowed to be here. So this guy's like, I'm calling security. So he tries to get the phone, but the guy slips and dies, right? He didn't even mean to kill him. Now he has to reset reality or he's going to end up in prison forever or like in the electric chair or something, right? So he takes the guy's key card, walks up to the door that says, no Tice, authorized personnel only. This reminds me of a video I did, one of my earlier ones. I also saw a sign. Anytime I see this particular sign that says authorized personnel only, I go in if I can. If the door is unlocked, I'm going in because I'm authorized. I don't know why people walk past these signs and they're like, oh, hey, it's authorized only. And like automatically thinking that they're not authorized. I'm authorized. I'm going in there every time. Anyways. So this guy sits down at the D-Wave computer, quantum computer, whatever. He uploads his little matrix hacker code to mess it up or whatever and overload it. And it's like, and it starts processing. This dude's trying his hardest to inconspicuously get the hell out of there and blow that popsicle stand, right? Does he look inconspicuous? No. This is not a good way to look inconspicuous if you're running away from the scene of a crime. Cracks me up. So he's on the bus, and all of a sudden, reality starts to flip out. This is where the movie gets crazy, right? He's on the bus. This lady gets up from the back of the bus, and she looks down at the floor, and then she just starts walking down the bus like she's in a double-decker or something, and he's not, right? So he's talking to his wife on the phone. She's like, everything's crazy right now. Get home, I'm losing my mind. Meanwhile, he's watching reality just melt. All of reality is starting to change. Things are not what they're supposed to be. All of a sudden, all the lights are gone. The sun and the moon are gone. Boom, it's dark. Turns around, it's daytime again. Everything's rapidly changing. He starts to run across a bridge. And then look at the tree. See this tree back here? Check this out. So he's running across the bridge. Boom, the tree changes colors, different colors. The car glitches out. Everything's starting to glitch out. He looks up into the sky. This one's huge for me. Okay. At first, I only saw two objects. Looks like there's two moons up there in the sky. After I just now watched this again, I saw that there's actually a third object up there. Very interesting to me. I'm going to stop right there and share my own little fun Mandela effect memory for you guys, okay? When I was a kid, maybe about 7 years old, 6 or 7-ish, 6 to 8, somewhere around there, right? I was in Southern California, and I have a vivid, vivid memory. Not a dream, a vivid memory. I went outside, and I looked up, and I was like, whoa, Mom, check this out. My mom, her boyfriend at the time, and my brother all ran outside and looked up and saw 2 full moons. I kid you not. And we were just like, wow, that's crazy, right? And then like the moons were setting, so they weren't up in the sky for very long. And I never thought about it again, right? It was just like, whatever, that's something that happened, right? Went to school the next day, whatever, totally forgot about it. But then one day, a few years later, my mom was driving me somewhere, and she said something about the moon, and I'm like, oh, Mom, right? Because the memory came flooding back. I'm like, Mom, do you remember whenever we went outside and we saw those 2 moons outside? And my mom is like, what are you talking about? And then all of a sudden, I had a conflict in my head. Like, I couldn't resolve what I thought I knew about what I was taught about there only being like 1 moon, like the Earth having 1 moon, and my actual memory of seeing 2. And I told my mom, I was like, Mom, you remember, right? Like we saw the 2 moons in the sky that one time. And my mom's like, honey, I think you must have been dreaming. And I'm like, and I didn't say anything. I'm just a kid. I don't want to look stupid or anything. But I'm like, that stuck out in my mind like a sore thumb. I recently visited my mom and my brother. And I shared that story with my mom, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, like, I'm sorry I told you that it was a dream. I don't remember it. But she's like, that reminds me of a story. And she told me of a vivid memory she had when she was a little girl of her real father, my natural grandfather, allegedly, who was like, hey, come over here, I want to show you something. Goes to like the back of the car trunk or something and pulls out like a block of gold, like a bar, a gold bar, right? And he's showing it to her. He's like, check this out, right? Oh, that's because my mom had shown me that she was collecting silver or something like that for the apocalypse or something like that. But anyway, she told me she clearly remembers this, that her dad showed her a bar of gold. And that was a pretty big deal when she was a kid, right? And then later on, she ended up talking about it with her dad, who was like, what are you talking about? That never happened. And I'm like, yes, Mom, that's exactly the same thing I went through. So anyways, it was interesting. So this guy, boom, bum rushes into his house. He's home now. But wait a minute. His door, what color is his door? Is his door puce or is it chartreuse? Was this the color of his door? Do you guys remember what color his door was before? Let's see who has a good memory. Let's play a quick game. Let's have a quick intermission. This was not the color of his door. What color was his door? I'll show you in a minute. I want to see if somebody in the chat can remember. Let's see how good our memories actually are. What color was this guy's front door? Because I showed it earlier. if you were paying attention. How old am I? 1,000,000. How about that? Yeah. What color is the door? I'm just going to wait on the chat. I want to see the first couple of answers here. I want to see what you guys think. Do you guys remember? Isn't memory weird? Isn't it strange, right? Hey, John Lombardo's in the chat. Totally just did a little super chat donation and says, I just want to say you're a true legend, JayDreamerZ. I appreciate all that you do. I would love to see you, ODD, and Jeranism to get on a video together sometime. Oh, that would be interesting. Thank you. All right, what color was the door? Gina Genesis says purple. Okay. Banshee333 says blue. Lost in the Moonlight says chartreuse. That's up for debate, right? What color is chartreuse? Yellowish green. Ooh, Stephanie G says blue. Let's find out. I think that's good enough for now. Let's see what it was. Well, here's what it is now. Okay, this is the picture of the front of the house. All right. See how the windows are sort of reddish, the door's sort of reddish. Well, I went back because I knew the movie was messing with me. I knew something was not right. Pa-pow! Look at that. That was actually the color of the door and the windows. Everything's a little bit different. You see that? Check that out. Isn't that interesting, right? So if you said green, boom, you get it. If you said yellowish green, I'll give it to you. If you said chartreuse, I'll give it to you too, because technically I guess that's sort of right. All right, anyways, so he holds on to the wife, the kid, they're all hugging, they're all holding. It's the end of the world. I do want to point this out. I do believe it may be actually important for people to touch physically during the apocalypse, okay? Because I believe that the apocalypse is electromagnetic in nature, and you don't want to get zapped. So there's a good chance that if you're hugging, holding hands or something with other people, you're creating a circuit. And I think that that might help to protect. Anyways, that's just in my opinion. Now check this thing out in the background. See this little green deal? Fwa-pow! All of a sudden it's purple. Crazy. The mom's face totally pixelates and just goes nuts, right? All of reality's breaking down. The moon breaks. That is a part of apocalyptic prophecy, eschatology, the moon breaking. The moon breaks in this reality right before the end of the world. The moon just slams into whatever that other planet up there is or whatever. As you can see, now look, there's color everywhere. All of reality starting to sort of break down. It's getting a little blacker. Some things are disappearing. More things are disappearing until finally, gone. Blackness, darkness, everything's gone. And then all of a sudden, the code lights up in reality. The computer program, the simulation starts to reboot. This is literally the Great Reset. I'm talking about the apocalypse for those of you who are new to my channel. And then as it's resetting, I'm just going to, it shows you, it flashes like hundreds of different pictures showing you like all of different aspects of reality as we have it today. They show you Saturn, which I thought was really interesting, or an artist's rendition of Saturn. I don't think this is actually Saturn, but I thought that was really interesting. Boom, computer code's going nuts. They show you a jellyfish. I had to take a picture just because I love the jellyfish. Boom, and then the axolotl. This is going to be, I want two new mascots, right? I've got Torque, the tardigrade. For those of you who like trivia, that's the name of my tardigrade. For my little mascot on the channel is Torque. The jelly's name is Jelly. I want to get an axolotl. Did you know you can cut off any part of this creature's body, and the part that you cut off will grow another creature. It will be a clone of the exact same creature. Full body. You could cut off a little finger, little toe, and it will grow into a whole nother one. And it's said that they have insane lifespans. These things are amazing. It's called an axolotl. And then there's the jelly. I also want to get one of my robot that it's at the end during the credits. So if anyone out there knows how to, like, you know, you're fancy with that kind of stuff, let me know, because that'd be cool. Otherwise, I'm going to hire someone from Fiverr like I did last time. They show you Jesus going through all of history and all the stuff again, right? All the different wars. And then boom, of course, Mandela, once again, not looking too great in that picture. Poor guy. You know, people blasting off, the coding goes back and forth on the screen, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, we are right back where we started the movie. Right back at square one, starting all over again. They zoom in, but this time, something's a little bit different. This time the daughter takes Curious George out, but she's holding him by the hand. The computer fixed the glitch, took away the tail, and that little tiny fix made it so that the father was like, hey, why don't you leave George with us? The whole reason she drowned is because she took Curious George into the water, chased after it, and died. But this time, the dad says, leave Curious George here, and the daughter lives, right? Leave George with us, right? So they take George. George does not have a tail in this new reality after this reset. And that's the movie. What do you guys think? Oh, Blue Beam Me. I wanted to talk to you. I looked for that image, your little symbol up there. God, I looked for that forever. That was hard to find on the internet. I was looking for it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I really like that you put that up there. All right, anyways. Let's see. We got Lawrence Williams in the chat who says, the brain in action. JayDreamerZ, the J effect. Adam James says, Jay, I thought you were pretending to eat the popcorn. Would be awesome. I could do that for you, bro. Oh, man. Now I got to pretend to have it stuck in my teeth. Damn it. Always happens. Anyways, hey, I love you guys. I hope you guys had fun in the chat. We're going to definitely be talking about the Mandela effect probably tomorrow, if not the next day. So stay tuned. Hit the bell icon because I just kind of usually randomly do my videos. I'm trying to get a schedule going. I hope you liked it. And I would love to see all of your favorite examples of the Mandela effect in the comments. So if you can leave a comment and say, boom, check this one out. This one's crazy. This one's crazy. This one will blow your mind. I'm gonna talk about many of them tomorrow in the next one. Until next time, I'm JayDreamerZ saying good vibes and goodbye.
It Presto!